for movie over 2K news and blogs. Any your first time and I'll consider subscribing. About man say them drop video be na. Uni pa sabi din kin aka no ahwe. Uye nso afọ adwen kyerɛ comment section na share na afofo nya bi nhwe. Ya ye nipa Ivan enso atena fidi ketse so onua. Atutu bi nso ama ne na po ye o se na po ye joke na po you are a joke na po nim de okeka wa asase we so na po o di agro na po nim de Kwame Nkrumah ďèśtŕoying Kofoma be ama Ghana crank umi onu kasa asem no ye joke you are such a joke unim de oye wasa asu eso yenko tie Ivan nsem de tuja
eja ye tie bi yenko eye napo ode na chewpa aba amanfo sen chewpa no kra na ye 419 napo hu sensem yente wonka wom yentie wo
I think that but I think that it's quite unfortunate, Dr. Red, to be very honest. You see, issue, when it happens like this, sometimes I just don't want us to dwell on the individual.
Yeah.
You see, growing up, my father, I am a staunch supporter of the NPP, very staunch. And growing up, they're not met to my and say, you can't MPP, you win him before, you were catch for your way. That has always been the argument, and not Ombeki. And San Seminole Echo, Nipa Bebra, I've been in Ababesin now until Akuffo Addo be take over. And I think the mom will make it the argument that could be a Johnny free home because we have the men, no? We will say, I bet they're station boys. So, party now, what catches such a need of intellectualism around itself, you might want to see this need reflecting in Kwame Ofaswa or in the leadership. And to me, Bawumia in 2016, 2020, I'm go into election. 2016, our partner Akuffo Addo. You see, there was something that was very fundamental. Akuffo Addo made it clear, say, oh no, or a lawyer, and when it comes to economics, then as a former, and then the field. So the only reason why the Bawumia ban say partner no the weakness na economic side this guy will cover for it. That and presidency then as suppose you don't just choose anybody for vote. You look at your weaknesses as a leader and then you choose somebody or that a strength or that complement you, then you make a whole. Bawumia ba ye ne o hese the Ghana economy ni na sefo yi ayeya. He has issues with trust. A man for issues with competence. A man for integrity crisis. Whole lot. Our as an individual. Or try say obet me sell a message. Obet me ma Ghana for agenda to say. Even though no yet Akuffo Addo running mate there. Na or your mate. Na say Ghana for the Kenya no mana. Obet me something different. And so we see campaign now or any na. That is the message here. And when you look at him, because of the involvement and how bad the Akuffo Addo government has performed, especially in the economic front, Ghana for to do na near hotoso winimu. And this our person ukofa obi etnebe partner such a person. Dr. Ren, common sense will dictate to you, sir. You look at somebody. These weaknesses about Bawumia make us say whether you like it or not, or present it as a candidate in somebody who cover for all these things. Because Mekaipa Abra 2008, President Mills, every president, Now there were a lot of people who argue, say, or near Hoden, or Yare, or Yesay. But in a running mate then, John Mahama was a young man then. Now man for Huna. I say, hey, I say, own to me, your crown advice, no, the way day. Or we to make us a mentoma and my NDC now. The vice in Matramano. May assure sir, I had a lot of such conversation then in 2008. So sanity. So Bawumia having this crisis, honesty crisis, competence crisis, integrity crisis. There are people who have tagged him say he's a liar and who had the economy in so live a lot, Now coach you obi. Now kofa obi or no problems are or no one does to change running mate and candidate now. Then I think that you are rather insulting the people almost. But that is how I see this whole thing. Because Bawumia having all these challenges, you might want to pick somebody or lesser problems. But nipa no more than a partner or no the problems quite a change crew. Nina a be arrogance, a be kasa or figure at me say Binyansa kasa no kind of boom 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 like You could see clearly that there is no fiber of leadership. And this thing I'm not taking it personal because I feel insulted. That within the NPP, there are a lot of intelligent people within the party. They can appeal. And you see, when you look at these political party elections here, Dr. Red, NDC, any numbers are exclusively other winning elections our Ghana. NPP, any numbers are exclusively other winning elections our Ghana. So in Uber when the power will chrome here, floating voters, especially so here party getting a can now head the way a man of conduct of so be no how serious of power chrome because I'm serious the best thing you see so when coming together to form a unified front to be but obia is a person the president obia now one number of moving semuno and I give you strength and advantage to these two parties and it's a war appointed running mate. You might look at somebody in popularity ebetimia prevailing within the neutral bloc because my culture says floating voters and they determine who becomes president in this country. So opasa woje regions in a greater Accra, a central and a BA, old BA, these are regions that they are unaffiliated, unattached to any political party. Wow, wait to me a significant vote from these regions. We are lucky you can win the elections. And presenting a candidate, you might want to take somebody or make it disappear. But me, as a young man, I'm not sharing a poll on the political platforms in recent times, I think that whoever or even harbor the intentions or Bonidino is insulting everybody, especially if you look at where Ghana is today. Whoever will attempt to mention the Dean Krasa Sebi or Mayor Ranimate, is insulting everybody. Because you see, this is a guy who has been dangling from one reckless comment to another, to another, to another. And whenever he speaks, one thing is clear and apparent: the intellectual deficit. The recklessness in his voice, the tone, the kind of organism. This is an education minister of Cotton Radio said, diploma for not the wear certificate. How can you say that? As a minister, any other person, we can make that argument and go away. But as a sector minister, what that teacher for now and Ghana workforce and a teacher for also. Training teachers in Asafo. Now, catch you say they went to training college because they went there with the worst grader. That's Sabi. I said, oh, you know, one and again, in some year, can you know, Obia no free say, oh, more time, and I'll say you're arrogant. If I can't say arrogant, I don't want to go there because arrogant and yet character trait, a compensatory behavioral mechanism. And when people have inner weakness, when people have low self-esteem, when people cannot stand with you and make intellectual argument, they always put on aggressive posture or certain hostility. Because I can say I can argue with you. And I made you attempt. Now you say argument, So people with that overwhelming weaknesses, and then they're psychological, they're or more aggressive, or more very hostile and arrogant. And people are dwelling on the arrogance or as if it's our but the arrogance is a sign of a deep-seated problem which Ghanaians are not willing to explore what that problem is. I mean, that problem is an intellectual deficit. Because Okasa, a daddy. This is the most important day in his life. The most important day in the post-life. The most important day. Ya boss stage Jamano, Bawumia asene de bonyam de koli kurum, ya the microphone amount say what you do is a certain speech. You tell people how happy you are for among the lot near you to become a running mate. And you after accepting, you tell people the competencies you bring on board and how you'll be able to partner the other guy to win votes. That is what you do. But go and look at the video. Go and look at his posture. I said, also for original for market, I will preach the book of Revelation. Or no, yes, no, just say, was the book of Revelation? Until we mean enough, I couldn't preach it. And this guy used the most important day in his life to create the biggest political scandal in his life. And it's a nipakase, the poverty of intellect and Napo exhibitia. How can you disagree with that person? Because this is the most important day in his life. I said, we are saying, so what I know, open us more, this is Napo Day. Napo used that day to create the biggest scandal in his life by comparing Akuffo Addo to Kwame Nkrumah. And you see, people say, opinions are like noses, and if you get a big one like Napo, you are entitled to express it anywhere. But the thing is, when you use the expression "na mo Kwame Nkrumah no," "na mo Kwame Nkrumah no," that is derogatory. It's seeking to denigrate the name Nkrumah, because Ghana no, so obi NDC new or NPP new. Akuffo Addo in Nkrumah attempting to take the shine away from Nkrumah by changing history, attempting to damp history, change date and stuff. But across the political divide, Ghana for in the diaspora, everywhere, Obia see Nkrumah as a certain figure, a mixed figure. You rely on, and in Africa, I think that the popularity transcended.
So when you take now say no Osiki to make Akuffo Addo more superior over Kwame Nkrumah.
Exactly. And you see, that was even unnecessary because that day was your day. Tell people, what are you bringing on board? I mean, my son or day Baba Buau. Now he was singing praises for Akuffo Addo, who a lot of Ghanaians know, say, okay, let me say my personal opinion. I think among all the presidents in Ghana now, he's a disaster. And I don't know the kind of conviction you can buy for me to change my mind, because I have seen a lot of presidents around. I have read a lot about presidents, how they behave, how they conduct themselves, and how they bring leadership to bear. If you ask me, even though I didn't see Kwame Nkrumah, but I've read a little about him, and Myanmar, the handiworks and the signatures are all over. Trust me, I can sit here and say, Akuffo Addo is a disaster. That is me. And I think there are a lot of your listeners who share the same sentiment. That's fine. But you see, so if you take such a platform on that special day and you peddle such derogatory defensive message, Nkrumah no compare any there. I'm for any issue. But the word Kwame Nkrumah no, because this is a guy yatagi was a this is a guy yatagi was kasa boom boom boom. This is obi a catch us kasa won kasa boom. As obi a off or he vomits sentences without having the chance to even think them through. They just come out. So and to serve a good form no who they waka. Then after Sadia we yesterday, the following day, he goes on radio. This is a vice presidential nominee. He goes on radio and they ask him there, Asama okay, I don't know, so what's his justification of Komaya? Yes. Instead of him to, because we do a certain level, you see, you don't have to engage in banter. Yes, why we are just patch out now go away. He was insisting, say, I Ghana for you know, I no Sabiana, Yansana Yanti or Kayana say. Now, or no, any there, or by in communication, it is not about the intent or what they can't say no. It is how the recipient edit that information and how they process it. And that you don't have control over it. And the way you need to speak in a way nipa no more information will not interpret it to mean say a derogatory, a insulting, a say. But he didn't realize all these things. And later, no, as I'm also telling you now, man for a catch as an hour, Semunia cocaine, own copper hotel. And some arms are more trocrata, the man or the babble, and obey the obey or no. But you see, some no kind, no. Senkana, this is somebody I had never said on the vote, ma Bawumia, on for vote, and become Bawumia vote. That day, no. Do you think that Obi or in Nkrumah, they are movement, they are Nkrumah and those kind of people? Now, are you not disengaging yourself from these people? So Obi or the vote, Ubano, he has ended up taking away vote from Kakrana Wenyano. And you see, I saw something very significant that things that Ghana for must pay attention to. There is this lawyer I revered so much. His name is Frimpong Anochi. He's a historian, a very brilliant and intelligent lawyer.
Yeah, I'm some artist or this year Quebec contest as a BBC. Made it bisa, but Minyanya sure.
Good. I have listened to him on a number of times. Okasa, he speaks very well. Hardly now, but he says Okasa Tiobi.
Yeah.
But Napopo can't say same way. Go and listen to an interview he granted to a radio station, either in the Western region or Central region. nsɛm a papa no ka no tape no wote a wosen bɛfam menim sɛ wate bi I can forward it to you.
Matibi na atemdidie wo mpa na no ehye.
Exactly. A chance as some okay no I got it on his desk. Because these are people I respecting Kroman as a for there, but he as a historian getting the chance to go so close because your history you get attached to a person knowing what he represents, what he has done. No, he felt say it was an insult and the man went berserk. This is a running mate here. You don't pass the partner Bawumia. Now one no munye complete. Say Ghana for beto amamo muntu mamo and that is a conversation you can have another day. But on the day, he rather created a scandal. So me, I can't blame him because that is his nature. But I blame the NPP as a political party. Because you see, I think they have disrespected Ghanaians so much to the extent say, Omufri is a big governance and a business as usual. Because already you are struggling to sell Bawumia as a candidate. And if you have respect for the people of this country, now Akuffo Addo the Ghana form in the last 8 years. The difficulties, the challenges, and the many ordeals the average and ordinary Ghanaian has to battle. Trust me, the last thing you do is to bring on board somebody or what problems in your personal attitude just a whole lot of stuff. And it's when you go into some of these things, I'm for say be a nipan na one penasem. But in the last few days, when we say Ghana for setting at them, because Professor Nana J call UPS or an address, now people were discussing in some in a very positive light. And again, media trashing. I said no whether I say Obetimia now own to me, that is another thing. But the people were not discussing the scandals. But this particular one, people were not talking about Asem Papa or Kayo. It was the scandal that took over the media landscape, and people were discussing scandals. And Nipa or Motesano, young four munko anywhere close near the presidency. Last Friday, now many amount for a year engagement, our Joy News, our Joy FM, Friday evening discussion. And the argument was, why can't we forget about NAPO and focus on programs and policies of your friends and candidates? Now I say, yes, sir. Now I say governance and won't yet. Because you see, presidency is in itself, it's a whole your friends institutional. It must come with some level of decency and decorum. The occupants of the highest office of the land must seem to exhibit some higher sense of rationality, because your constitutional framers, they didn't care about the president is educated or not, but they were concerned about the intellectual acuity of the president. Say, you're sound-minded, and in one school, I say you can become president, but you cannot become president. So they almost place much emphasis on Nipano, the way a man aware with Nema. Policies and programs do not emanate from candidates or running mates. NDC NPP policies in the programs everybody say even the president nankasa kra na de baya, you just express it in the form of an idea. You need to do consultation where party stakeholders will sit down, analyze how are feasible. When they finish, they will give you to policy makers how are able to translate that idea into a policy framework and as to whether it is feasible. Now we are then technical people ask the financing aspect of it, whether it is possible or not. So programs and policies of government in the political parties, and yet the birthright of a candidate. Until we can isolate policies and programs and have a discussion when parties roll out their manifesto. But this day, we are talking about attitude, personality, and of individuals. And that to me, Napo has failed that test. And I find it quite insulting that he is a running mate of the NPP. To be very honest with you, I find it quite insulting because he's not fit for that purpose. He has demonstrated he's not fit.
Korea chiri hunu se eye empanyimfo bi te se eye oseiche mensa bonsu eye owura osei ya waditwum ana eye owura yes Mensa bonsu ana owura ye Joe Wise omanko sa unveiling of Napo omanko asie. Do you think is omo esusu say onye obi a ose fata say Ghana nka ye can running mate as a political party to say NPP no omutimi eyi no enti no man kwa ase na I know say they may have one or two reasons but ye hunu some painful way was is it a concern for the Ghanaian na ono kwa to aba no say na mokra mokọ eye onveli mu nipa say ikra no sa etitiufo say ikra no ye hu omo ewo eye adwabonus especially obi to say ya wedu twumu ana one napo eye adwuma no eye ne eye deputy ewo eye education ministry
now and there are sources I just already deputy now that time on education minister no nkasa. And you see there is this MP immediately na post name surfaced, he granted an interview to Joy FM. And as is it Andy Apiakubi? Yes.
Yeah, Andy. Asante Achimnoto. No crowd me ohene Kwame Frimpong kwa kutuno. Independent candidate to be.
Good. Good. NTA. So we see asem no okay na. Easy we are communicators. So sometimes you need to analyze nema among for back in the context. Asem no okay no. The minute free mun say he was seeking to suggest say even parliamentarians in the one na pote parliament no enye bi no nkasa. That was the signal I got from the message. Because we can decode. Because our culture said this is a guy on yes so say the young parliamentarians and could be hold on no platform. So and on there or share the character necessary city and I on our point and go funny for. And Oseche mentioned a duping where people are not moving as to why they couldn't go there. I can't speculate and I don't want to speculate. But there could be genuine reasons, you understand? Because Eden, sa obeda sorry Ghana, na yesin na your vice president. Like how? Eden it's serious. And this is not America where you think institutions are in place. Because in America, people are worried that Trump will be a president. Trump will be a president. It doesn't matter how radical he is. The institutions are, the machinery running the American government is already set in motion as president, But will changes a lot and that has to do with foreign policy and so forth because internal mechanism and so forth they are already gelling. You can't do much to upset the economic engines of America. But in our situation, it's totally different. And if you look at how polarized that we've become in recent times, you need president and our vice president and the rhetorics and bit me to bring everybody together. That unity. To unite the people in a common purpose. Do you think Napo is somebody who can do that? So I think, I don't know why they didn't go there, but I think, yes, Obia Otie can disagree. Wait, this is not personal. This is my fair assessment of the situation because maybe I'm free say MPP forward a lot of intelligent people within the party. And there are people who make arguments, Ofri Kumase there. Let me make this point. Napo, MPP, na Uko Kumasi, Ashanti region is a sworn sponsor of the MPP. The Ashanti region is a sworn sponsor of the MPP without a cause. Ashanti region for Obama MPP, they don't need a reason to do that because they identify themselves as their party near. So when you choose somebody from Ashanti region, it's a plus. It only your friends say arouse passion and invigorate the base. But as to vote addition, trust me, because Napo, a typical Kumasi person will vote for the MPP. They don't need Napo to be on the ticket. And the argument is just say Ofri Kumasi no doesn't come in. So Kumasi no, even if you want to put over for Ofri Kumasi, you look at somebody asabi. Ghana for ne kasa any issue. Ne koko na koma Ghana for any issue ne kasa just everything, but this guy everything about him is unprecedented. And to be very honest, it's unfortunate that the MPP growing up maybe papa say a party of intellectuals a bit to me are degraded to this level. Yeah, kasa yenyo bia, and I disagree with those who say nka yenyo bia. They could have gotten other people. And Dr. Ren Wuni, Mijawa, you can mention about 4 or 5 people across the political divide, no? Ghana for Krabenye GDO. How bet my
Osha Obiti says and Komufano.
Oh, me, I don't want to. Me person, and me jayama. Me jayama wa. Ube tinya Bobby. Tell me ba people because we are aware bias and as a boy. Me jayama wa. Utu ania even a something region crown. I bet me obi because even on say mensa woka na se mini. Say enye age sama in terms of your friend is saying reputation in the public space. I think people will choose him over Napo.
Well, every a year kwabinadi wo na oka about say upapa a year MPP and no can say me say Ivan, talking is cheap. You mentioned your dad as an MPP member and now you are insulting MPP and its members. MPP is not best, but NDC is not the alternative. Do you think your dad will be happy if he's alive? I'm sure your father is alive, and
he's not serious. I'm not doing the argument for my father. I'm making valid point argument. I'm not here because of my father. Whether he'll be happy or not, that is inconsequential. So I think people should resist listening to programs with raw and cheap emotions. The valid argument and the sense I am making this point, that is what, if there is any business, I am any business, you understand? We need to just get into your friend saying that.
But your father is alive, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because the way I will use your last statement, if your father is alive, I mean, say he got that one also wrong. Your father is alive, opinioni
So, Dr. Ren, I think we need
but he's making a point to say,
okay.
Utie Nasemo Awokano Wahanoa, or make a point to say, MPP is not the best, but NDC is not the alternative. Does it mean to say people of MPP no say they are not even the best party to even lead Ghana?
You see, that has always been
and governance, one will say governance, then Kayakuma, we should go in for the best to lead the nation, not any person biakeke to lead the nation. And yes, Anity.
So you see, who is that? Baby, I can't go through no election. Whichever way you look at it, because of John Mahama not a president, and he was crashed out for the MPP. And if you look at how things are turning out to be now, if you that's a whole situation now, goodwill at Telto in Mahama's favor. That is the only difference. So in order to break that particular goodwill, that is where this argument comes in, the MPP, yeah. But the other one is not the alternative. Because Obia Otigana say, oh, John Mahama no more than what did me control about Akuffo Addo. Now heard Akuffo Addo about that idea. Then you say, okay, then Senator John Mahama is better. So that goodwill not tilted in his favor, and it's a way that people are just trying to take away that goodwill. But going into this election, if you are not careful, that goodwill will tilt and make an impact in this particular election. So when you hear those arguments, it's a way of taking away this goodwill naturally, tilted in Mahama's favor. Because the guy was president, I would say, studio enemy. Now will be a friend or Dr. Ram Crasso, the question that's for each other. I don't want to meet you and me. Now ya catch us a proceed on leave. Nani panamba tenaho. Come and I hear conversation. When I'm young, or dinner phone so friend, a girlfriend, and as a forum. Then people call back say, and as a Dr. Ram cry, I'm finding back. So goodwill at that point, exalted in your favor, and your listeners might want to bring you back. What I say, because when they do comparative analysis, compare wo and you are even better. You may not be the best, but you are better than the other guy. So that is the crux of the conversation.
Especially when you listen. I mean, I've always said we are Ghanaian. I mean, we all have the choice to belong to any political party. But then in as much as we have our will to belong to any political party, the truth of the matter, we should allow our brains, because each and every man owns his own thought. We should allow it to work. And in working, we should ask ourselves to say, Akuffo Addo kachere Ghana ne oman ni nyina ne say, se ono na oye atamils, ene eye John Mahama, se $1 ni ye 2 cedi mpoa, anka wono at the time no. Obe resign wa pa Ghana for chew. Now fast forward, Ghana for ye na duma be president. Now $1 eye 16 cedis. Now, I would think as a rational human being, be a wise as he so, irrespective of which political party you belong, this is where you put on your thinking cap. Now, what Jenny say, asimesi kachre me say, senka dollar ni ye 2 cedi mpoa, and ko no be pa me chow, no I resign. Nene dollar ni ye $1 no, ye 16 cedis. Sa asimesi na ashimesi no, pa me chow, no so I resign ye. Nasa still nipa timi defend people such as Nana Addo. I ask myself, say, really and truly, are we putting Ghana first, or we are putting our political parties first?
And I think the argument I make our lesson and Anthony, they say up to 2016, they may have no NPP, then would Akuffo Addo could generate the Nima. I heard about time not fucking baby. Because Onward himself, he has disappointed him big time. I left from the old age, we have seen the word Akuffo Addo, and a dear on person of better on a life from Akuffo Addo. And last time I catch a friend of mine, or your medical doctor, or your Dr. Penjinipa, one of the biggest hospitals in Ghana. He was one of the people who were going out advocating Akuffo Addo, and or saw the TV in Akuffo Addo betos, and I said on TV in form. So if these people are expressing disappointment, then as a former, not what to be now, I say, oh, now and I make a say, Alan Chamantin class with NPP. Alan Chamantin class with Jay. Now, I was in China also because what about Akuffo Addo? I said, I was.
Ora a year ago for community or the chopper about say I apologize for my earlier comment in respect to Ivan's dad. I realize now that it may have been sensitive. I'm truly sorry. But you see,
no, don't worry.
But you see, yeah, koswa eja yebe wrap up na Ivan Dene final words Ghana for you. Every Monday bia no yetnasia. Yene Ivan etwetwen komo. It's all about Ghana politics and Ghana politics so the makacho say heaven ni the ebeko but ansani ebeko heaven no the prices of tomato no on the market no determined by the finance minister. Womoba nom the taxes be ba prices of goods no ebo ebeye din ewo dwom. This to aba. Don't think about the decision. The decision there, don't think about it. Think about the consequences. What you say? Decision making is easy. Say make decision easy. But if you think about consequences, it will really inform you on the decision I'll be making. And one of the consequences Ghanaians are facing today, and they say, too about the man and Addo Dankwa Akuffo Addo in 2016. I am not going to look for a political party. I may say, on your best, and the NDC need or no, you better say no. Me our political parties no. Metwa will be a minion GDS or bar. He will put Ghana at a country. It will compete with the likes of China, Canada. Because at the end of the day, we live in a country. You move in to say, a woman need natural resources. Do the nenso or me tumpon ako woman name. Now you see, remember Ivan Abemono. Usha a Ghana Kronoa. I've always said, so be catcher was so my Ghana cannot be developed as Anipa Chrono. Manintia CS and Adwene were form. And a manintia CS when you will be knowledgeable. I was a wise person. I'll be to me apply a wisdom to a friend is a natural resources no to take us out of poverty. There is a country, a friend China, 700 million people as at 1978, equals 1989. Already a danger pen, the tintin in the theater and the cashier. And a giant at the son of Addo Dankwa Akuffo Addo. He was able to take 700 million people out of poverty. In the member politician Nibia Medada say, and a Ghana ne dini a yoma dwene and emu mbene so metimi aboy e free eye wo hiem. And in tina de biomoba, they give us nothing but the least. And the ones who are woto aba no, busan said, do you deserve such treatment? Na a treatment where MPs no nya akwenya eba UK eba hospital na MP no ote ompeswa so no uhunu se ne yire a de bia wotwi pons a woni ne nante uhunu ne se woni wo kɔ the local hospital no to you no and so obusa ho se nyame anim ne kuranie saa MP no osefata so obedi manimu ana ade na mense samensa no na me ma obi foforo mba obetimi aba make sure say obe lobby for good hospitals well equipped with a modern friends equipment as means me yare not necessarily say me to kwan ba UK na means me to me akosa hospital ni bi. And these are the things how you Ghana ni esa wo hwe because I wo to about my politician na ochine bi ono be yare no be ba UK te se Bawumia na echo ye no a obetena UK here obesan ho yare wie ya. The question is obuza say enka ye hospital wo Ghana sanka echo ne ye ni nkotena hospital wo Ghana e ma ne san ho yare nti Ghana fo na momanya echo a munsumu ni akwanya moba ye UK no e de ne betumo you would die at a younger age minimum empenfo bebre at the age of 55 50 na eja echo nti no ma wukọ because akadia no ne hospitals na wo pantem won e bi ni ho. Now when your opinion be to say the number 2 servant or ya kwa or you this year or ya kwa because a public service, not public a friend is a lord, not public a friend is a kinsmanship, a service and service naturally say branabe some woman no and to some woman on say for mindful sika a na play mu £14,000 na nado yeka or so won't ye a beko no ene look at Ghana today. This is a government a COVID-19 by Okofa na konta for ebeji jisika ewo Ghana port, Ghana airport. Nem konta for ni wie yesika omdi ko mukrom alata yaw. Menka se alata for ni nye, but ye wo nkro ye wo institution ye no Gucci na at the time the betimi sa a friend is saying contract na ama wo mo te wo man Ghana yamfa ama wo mo de koma alata because of obi 10% nti COVID-19, any Russia-Ukraine war kwano, and Ghana $30 billion US. 33 billion US dollars. My producer say 33 billion US dollars. Now let's ask ourselves, Sasikano, a henfanewo. Ivan, would you chat to no na eja? Mama umusu no akono musio kakana next week yesiano.
Dr. Ram, I don't know the way I'm for who life, but we see, maybe I'm a cassa life no, and you giddy sao. Because one house who been Jessica, would be nam pammy, this money ye. Opa Sidaya only chains of houses, so you can live in the two at a time. We are still life, and say, when you obey, you can make impact, put smile on the faces of other people. And the leadership governance elsewhere, Juma. By your hand, as Debia Mekami, who quite Yankopon fast or boy, a brona jump in the way team back for person who did the mayor. And you see, the poor people around, we create room for such enterprises to thrive. Like said, I don't have any issue with anybody supporting any political party. Yes, you must belong to a political party, be politically viable. But when it comes to choices, decisions at any point in time, you should be willing to punish the person.
Now, I have a 2016. But the Missy Kenyans will be the plane ticket man. With Tamsika, tens of thousands of pounds. Koye campaign my NPP. And you will be a trauma me. It is any semijana me can MPP asema. Me name the investment time yeah and name in says for.
Yes. And when you are when I don't know who can who be now be one or to me I criticize that. That is what brings the new way in you to bear. So we can always say because a political party say yeah sorry. Oh I see a cancer papa sorry. No. People out there are individuals who are cashing on other people because they are ignorant, because they don't have access to power. We need to make sure that we hold them accountable. We are the sentinels of our democracy. And the Mayan Tina baby, now Mr. Chrome Hadjoa, Sanka phone to Kayo, Sanka Chrome Hadjoa. There are a lot of people who will not travel because Chrome Hadjo. That is the reason. So we need to make sure that whenever we are joining the conversation, that extreme partisan orientation, a bit of the free disengage, we need to do away because having such an exposure, you know what is right, you know what is good, you know why things are working out there. Why can't we replicate same here? Nipa the same Nipa na say, but abroad greedy, they are not even ready to create a viable economic environment for Obi to thrive. So you see, you renew your mentality. It doesn't matter how far you go. Politics in Ghana and the TNTO and a jig game, a cow, yeah. I want for now be framing from UK or say every week if you score send back Ghana. Now is a Ghana, Joa. Nanka, you ever send Sikara back to Ghana. So don't sit anywhere, feign ignorance, or draw ignorance, or out of any cheap at some politics. You think that men casa situation here. Situation here, but say this here. We need to get serious. Now you who said, if we are not going to benefit, Yanka said we are working for the next generation. Because unfortunately, the from Mokoma say ya, Ebianka Yaba and Kayamanam Sadi and but we cannot create the same hellhole arena for our next generation to come and occupy. We need to make sure that we sanitize and change the system so that they will have a better life.
Ivan, ebedasi nyame adumwa next weekend so yebeshia yedase pa.
That's me. That was here for us when you came for Mutia.
Yedase. Ivan.
The message in this Machiano.
Listener now, yes. Ivan, Sonny Makaja, Ivan or single. Oh no. We may pay back kama. I'm worried.
Oh, they are now sending message. You'll be sending Papa question on a makeup.
Oh, a year girlfriend Kwabnadi, very learned man. Ivan switch out. Very learned man. Asemu. Obi say, main cancer will say, get up, it's not over. May catch we not may encourage you say, encourage someone today not to give up. Check on your friend and loved ones, because the situation around it and the situation in Ghana is pushing a lot of people to depression stage. We all need one another to keep going. And
the depression is real. I specialize in mental health, and I know what it means when you can't depression. So I think that, like he said, it's good to check on other people because people are going through a lot of stuff silently. And it's whole lot. I'm forced to load and so I'm not in air conditioning. I'm forced to load at the demo. It's not easy. You see, life is all about bringing smile to Obi face. It is not about when I'm at all way. What they call him? What's that? That farms to grow.
Me say, Ivan, me see me mates be a minimum more lecturers. So me send me message now. Amount of money be a mobi say be happening. Me say, hey. And ordinarily, no, they would never call or send a message to ask. But the situation, no, ama and you might tear past some. Now the all coins so crack off on your mother. Adia becha, adia besa. Not a year friend is saying, a year CD, a year friend saying, depreciation. Not cano. It's it is any will crack 10,000. 10,000 no as a year 2024 no. 2014 so ukra 10,000 and then it's at 10,000 no the value to say ukra a friend is saying 4,000 and then the value now at a tikra pansa
this December no madam for be yes or by UK and I see on account you say or the crop your pounds my buyer saying or change it then no be about 2,500 pounds 6 months after the same money no and or 800 pounds. The same money.